welcome to Concert Pipeline. That's Jens Schiffel.
And that is Steve Jones.
And Jens, this is kind of the beginning of an era of sorts, right? Like, I mean, we've done the podcast in a lot of capacities virtually. You know, I mean, we try to do it in person when we can, but we have. There's been a lot of times where we've had to FaceTime pod because we do this every week, and you know, it's not easy to always get together. But
it's challenging, man. I mean, life happens, and you know, you think you've got a good hour, a solid hour, to knock out a pod, and then whatever, something blows up, and you got to deal with it. And dude, I mean, sometimes we can knock them out regularly, and sometimes it's like, why is this so hard?
I know. You're a tough man to track down while you're on vacation, though, but that makes sense. You're on vacation.
It's tough.
You have other obligations.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard for a number of different reasons. One, you never know what the itinerary is actually going to be like. You have a general idea of where you're going to be traveling to, what parks you're going to see, where you're going to spending the night, but you don't really know necessarily how long it's going to take to get from A to B because of all these different variables, and what the internet connection is going to be like when you get there. And I've got to say, I talked a little bit about my trip to Utah on the last pod. I mean, this is embarrassing for the state of Utah, but the internet in Europe is way better.
Whoa, okay.
Than it is in Utah, right? And the internet in Europe is shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always thought, well, I was like in the third world. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, but so we're doing this episode via Zoom, which I mean, since quarantine and COVID started, a handful of months ago now, I have done all of our interviews via Zoom for the most part with the artists, but we've never done it via Zoom, and that's a small thing. But what that means is that we can put it together and start, putting these episodes on YouTube as well, which is pretty exciting.
That's pretty sweet. We get a whole new channel of, well, I mean, we've been on YouTube since forever, right? But we haven't necessarily had.
We don't have a lot of new content.
Right, exactly.
I don't put a lot of content on YouTube, I'll be honest.
On YouTube, but, right. Yeah. So hopefully more people can, enjoy the fabulous high quality content that we offer.
Yes, and we'll put up the interviews that we've had since COVID through YouTube, and that's YouTube at Concert Pipeline on YouTube. So we're good there. I need to mention, Jens, that the band that we have on the program today is Okey Dokey, and that's not just to say that they're good.
Dokey. I love the name.
It's awesome, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a good feeling already. Even though I don't know a whole lot about the band, just based on the name alone, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Here we go. Exactly. Yes. And so I had the chance to talk to Aaron Martin and Johnny Fisher from Okey Dokey via Zoom, and they had an awesome background, a good
Nice.
shark background for their Zoom, which is another fun thing you could do also,
Cool.
But so we got to talk about their new album, Once Upon a Time, that's going to be coming out soon, and and a lot more. But Jens, you had something you wanted to mention on the pod.
I did. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure, since I hogged, all the story time time away from our pod last week, I wanted to make sure that you got your story in on the epic trip that you took, which was partially a road trip and partially let's fly to our destination type thing. So I'm really excited to hear about that. But I do just want to kind of mention something pretty significant that happened today. My wife and I have been thinking about starting, how do you explain this? Like, we thought it would be a wonderful idea to welcome a new challenge into our life.
Oh my gosh, you're going to have a kid.
No, you're close though.
It's a dog.
It's a dog.
Okay.
It's a dog right here.
Oh my God.
Right here on my lap through Zoom. What you might not be able to see exactly. You probably see some legs, a bunch of fur, maybe an eye or two, an ear, is a mix of, this little puppy is 8 weeks old. We just picked him up today from a breeder in Vallejo, and it's a mix between a Yorkie Terrier and a Maltese and a Poodle.
And his
And
name?
it is absolutely adorable. My wife named it. I did not name it. For about 5 minutes, its name was Muffin.
Okay.
But then my wife decided, you know what? We need a nice, strong German name for this dog.
And how do you say muffin in German?
So muffin. I used to muffin in German. Yeah. So she decided to, she thought like, what are all the German things I like that are significant in my life, right? What are the
Schnitzel.
German, like? You are so close. You are so close. Exactly. It would be something like schnitzel, but
Uh-huh.
think alcohol.
Of course. Okay. Heineken.
Close, 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 close. So yeah, this dog's name is Jaeger.
Of course it is. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even come up with that name. I mean, I was okay with Muffin, but I thought, Muffin's kind of wimpy. We would do kind of
Yeah.
a stronger name for a little, you know, little dog,
Yeah. So
and we're
Jaeger's not
gonna
going to
just
get
sort
too
of.
big, right? Yeah.
Jaeger's not going to get too big. Jaeger's probably not going to get more than maybe 10 or 15 pounds or something. I don't know. Jaeger's dad is pretty small. The mom is a bit bigger, but I think the mom is mostly just hair, because some of these poodles are just, crazy amount of hair. But if you were to shave it, it would look like a shaved cat, like an ugly rat or something.
Oh,
So anyway, we picked up this dog, and we've been thinking about getting a dog into our lives for a really long time, but we never really decided to go ahead and flip the switch on it until earlier this year, when my wife for the first time got really excited about being a dog mom. I've always wanted a pet, and I was like, I can go with a pet. I can go with not having a pet. It's really up to you. I've done the whole pet thing before, but my wife hasn't really. So I think the biggest challenge is going to be with her. So yeah, here we are.
and so
Dog parents.
how did you choose Jaeger? How did you find exactly the dog you were looking for?
That is a great question. So I spent a lot of time online trying to find good, not just breeders, but just good, I guess people that were out there that just had dogs that they wanted to give away or sell or something. And I could not find, dude, it was crazy. Here in California, I could not find anyone who wanted to give away or sell like a small dog. Um, and the places that I found that were, that were actually that specialized in breeding these things were not in California. They were way somewhere else in the Midwest or some ridiculous place that I had no interest in flying to or having them send me a dog or something. I just felt like that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that some of Maria's friends, who we've known for quite a while, they had a dog for a very long time that passed away recently. And then shortly after that, they got another dog from just a local breeder in Vallejo. And we decided, you know what, let's just go with the same, let's just go with the same breeder. So we just waited for the next litter, and that's how we got Jaeger.
Nice. Nice. And you
Yeah.
both were in agreement in wanting a small dog.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We travel a lot, as you know, and we thought it would be a lot more convenient to travel with a small dog than it would be to travel with a big dog. I mean, this little guy can fit underneath the seat, the what do they call that on an airplane?
carry
when you
on,
stole
like,
your luggage in front of you,
yeah,
in front of your feet or something. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, this
okay,
dog, it fits perfectly in a little dog carrier right there. So, and then, next time we go, flying someplace in the country, we can bring the dog with us. So that
that's
was the primary concern about it.
so he seems pretty quiet.
He is exhausted. Yeah,
Yeah,
we ran him through the loops. Did a bunch of stuff with him today. Showed him all the different rooms in the house, showed him his playpen, showed him his crate, showed him the backyard. And I think there are a bunch of things this little dog has never experienced before, like grass. It was hard to get the dog on the grass.
yeah, yeah. He's like, what is this
And
for? And
I
stuff.
was like, what is this weird shit, man? I don't know. It feels so weird. And the breeder didn't have any grass at her house. Yeah, she has sort of had like kind of a rock landscape type thing in her front yard and in her backyard, and there were a lot of plants and it was really pretty, but there just wasn't any grass. So, and she didn't train the dogs how to go up and down the stairs, and they're probably too small to do so. So
Yeah,
we have some stairs in our house, including just like 2 stairs in the backyard where the grass is, where the deck just kind of goes down 2 steps to get to the grass. And Jaeger was just like, what? It's like, grass is weird and these stairs are really crazy and I like going up them, but going down is like the Grand fucking Canyon. I'm not
right.
gonna step down there and die. Are you crazy?
Yeah. And speaking
So
of
I
the
will
Grand
tell you guys,
Canyon,
yeah, I'll tell you and our listeners, a lot more about the developments of Jaeger in the future. But I would love, let's just take this segue to hear about your grand adventure to the canyon.
I will tell you about the trip. So, yeah, when I found out I was going to be taking 3 weeks off of work, I was like, okay, I've never done this before. I mean, I've never taken that amount of time outside of having kids. It's not a full vacation because I still have to do the distance learning with the kids. So I'm stuck into that. So I have 2 days at a time, maybe, where I can get, and that's with, having their mom keep them an extra night or something, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, so I need to get somewhere. I need to get somewhere where there's no smoke. I'm gonna be safe, of course, but I'm gonna go. Where can I was literally looking at purpleair.com, I think is the website, where it has all the the AQI smoke levels.
Right,
And
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the air quality thing, yeah, index.
yep. And so I was like, well, not California, not Oregon. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? I've never been to the Grand Canyon. So why don't I go there? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to get out briefly, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
was looking that up, in the morning, and then I was, I asked Tracy, my girlfriend, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon. Do you want to come? And then she's like, I mean, I pretty much woke her up and was asking her, which is not a great idea. But so she started asking a lot of logistical questions. She's like, okay, you're going to drive, right? You're going to drive? I'm like, no, I have like 48 hours. I mean, and it's 12 hours each way. I don't have I can't do that. Nope. I barely can
Mm-hmm.
last an hour driving,
Okay,
these
wait
days.
a minute. So you flew from Bay Area to Vegas where you rented a car, and you're
Yes.
saying that it took 12 hours from Vegas to the canyon?
No, it would have taken 12 hours from here to the Grand Canyon
Oh, right, right,
if I
right.
were to drive, just
I see. Gotcha.
drive there. And so I was like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not driving 24 hours in a 48-hour period. That's a
Yeah,
recipe for
that's nuts.
disaster.
Nobody can do that.
Yeah, especially me. So it's like, it's just not going to happen now. And so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna fly. I'm looking at deals. Okay, here's what I'm looking at, right? And so then she's like, okay, I'll go with you, but we have to leave the night before, so we get 2 nights there. And I was like, okay, we can do that.
So you kind of already had your vacation planned out, sort of. I mean, you kind of knew that you were
I
going to
was,
take around 3 weeks or so, right?
yeah.
But your girlfriend how hard was it for her to get the time off?
She's not that busy with work right now, so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she was able to step aside and take a couple of days in the middle of the week, pretty easily. She had to check a couple things with work, but she was
Yeah.
able to take the time. That no problem.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So So I did it. So I mean, I was like, okay, well, you can't drive directly to the canyon. I mean, you can't fly directly to the canyon. So we're, I'd heard you could, go to Vegas and drive from Vegas fairly easily. And so that's what I was kind of planning at that point, right? I was like, okay, we're gonna
Right.
go to Vegas, and so
Yeah.
we ended up doing that, right? We ended up flying into Vegas, and staying at the Mirage. I mean, hotel was really cheap. Hotels are really cheap right now. Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
nice, huh?
it's got kind of a bad reputation right recently, but
Uh-huh.
but I will tell you that, I was impressed with how consistently, like, I mean, they have tons of billboards for, wearing masks, and,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of their structures wear masks and everything. And I mean, they're really promoting safety through through their town. I mean, despite what the mayor had, you know, had gone down, saying about, I mean, she did not sell it well, but it's a state ordinance, more than it's, the Vegas itself, I think. So, um, so that was pretty encouraging. And we weren't gambling. We didn't spend penny in a slot machine or a table or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. We stayed at
Mm.
the hotel, and just in our hotel mostly. I mean, we walked on the strip a little bit, but stayed away from people, and did that, did that all safely, right? And then
Right.
spent a day. I mean, it took like just over 2 hours to get to the canyon, and we got to go to a couple spots around, at the canyon, and see it, and it was just so massive and expansive and amazing, to get to see
Isn't it
that. And
insane? The
yeah, and be out
scale
there.
is so huge.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, it's hard to take it all in.
yeah, and I'll tell you, so there was one point where I like, I wanted to climb to the top of this rock, and and Tracy wasn't going to do it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to climb to the top of this rock, and you take a picture of me from far away, and it'll look really cool, whatever, right? So so I'm going around the side of this, around the side of this rock structure area. And I mean, there's no fencing or anything here, right? Nothing to stop you from, like, whoops, slipped off the side and plummeting to your death. And so I don't know, that makes me pretty nervous. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of midline with heights, and it
Yeah.
stems back to an incident in like seventh grade where I was rappelling off of a cliff in Utah, actually,
Oh shit.
and my foot got stuck under the rope on 100-foot cliff, and I'm dangling there and like
Oh my
freaking
God.
out, so I have a little bit of PTSD about heights and everything,
So
but
wait. So all these stories that I've been telling you about my experiences in Utah, has
uh,
any of that brought back some of this PTSD that you
I don't
had?
think you went. I don't think you went repelling. So I think, and
Yeah.
it wasn't me that, that any of your stuff happened to. So
So when I was saying like, oh my God, Steve, I was in the bottom of this canyon, and
yeah.
and
Bottom
the
of a
canyon was
canyon's
just
fine.
so beautiful because I was looking up and the heights were amazing. You weren't like, oh my God, heights, holy shit, I almost died.
No, if you're on the ground, it's fine. but
Okay,
but
it's
if
just
I'm
from the top.
hanging off of a cliff with one, no control of my body, and I wanted to go up, I wanted to get back up,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't. I had to go
Mm-hmm.
down, and get out from
Yeah.
under that in seventh grade. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going around this, this bowl, this rock formation, that I wanted to climb up, and I'm on the side, and I'm like, and other people just walked, there, and there's, a
Uh-huh.
good couple of feet, where you can walk through and everything, and I'm sure it's mostly safe, but I couldn't see around the corner. I'm like, nope, that's not happening, so
Right.
I went around a different way and climbed up to the top,
Mm-hmm.
that way. But I was, I was a little bit nervous, at certain areas, because I'm just like, oof, I don't even want to get too close. And there's this long catwalk. There's one area where there's this long catwalk that's built in a U shape,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes out over the canyon a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like glass beneath it, so clear, so you can
Mm-hmm.
see down below. And there is a barrier for that, that's about probably 4 4 or 5 feet high, you know, but you know, you think the worst, and I'm like, okay, and it's the same thing like when I went to the Sears Tower or whatever it's called now, the Willis Tower in Chicago, where I mean, there's an area where you can walk out onto and you can just see down below, like outside of the building, right? You can see below yourself, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. This isn't natural, right? Like to just walk out onto air or anything, you know?
Yeah, right. Did you ever see the video, or have you ever heard about that glass bridge that they built for tourists in China or Taiwan or one of these Asian countries, where you literally
familiar, but I'm not sure.
you walk. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're in a jungle. You're in a forest, and you're way up high, and you're on this little bridge, but it's transparent. It's all made out of glass or plexiglass or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm watching these videos thinking, oh, I would be able to do that. I'd just take it nice and slow. I'd breathe.
Yeah.
But dude, when I was in Utah for these past 2 weeks, I was shitting my pants. I mean, holy shit. I didn't realize I had such a strong fear of heights. Like, I've never had a traumatic experience with it, but it's like, oh my God. And there are all these people like wanting to do these epic selfies, and they're on the edge of the goddamn cliff.
I know.
Right?
I'm
I
like,
mean, one strong
like
gust of wind, they're dead.
I know. I'm like, what are you freaking doing, dude? You know, and so, I mean, I did the catwalk and everything. I did, but I was like holding onto the railing kind of like while I was doing it, you know, taking it nice and slow and everything. And I'm like, you know, at two sides of my brain, right? One is like, this isn't natural. And the other is like, okay, this is stupid. It's obviously is safe. Yeah. Someone had died, you know, jumping off of there a year before. You know, so that's possible, but it's like the Golden Gate Bridge where you can do it, you know, if you want to. You just have to be intentional about it. And you're probably not going to slip over, but still, you know, not natural. But so it was a good trip. I mean, and you know, the plane ride out there was you know, a quarter full, maybe. The plane ride back was maybe 3/5 full. But you don't have anyone sitting next to you, you know, outside of your party or anything. They keep the middle seat free if you did, but yeah, so it's totally safe. You keep your mask on and you just, you know, don't mess around with anything, and you're fine. So I just had to get out. I know, you know, it's still not the time really, but it's just like I needed a small trip. I needed a holiday from real, so to speak.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Just get out, you know, see some blue sky, you know, get something off your bucket list that's just awe-inspiring. And I would love to see the Grand Canyon again. You know, I saw the canyon when I was a kid, and I was very you know, impacted by that huge freaking hole, and didn't have a fear of heights back then. And all I remember really is, one, how awesome that hole was, and two, how awesome the fucking ice cream was at the gift shop.
Okay, you got some good ice cream. I guess.
Two things, I remember two things from there. Well, good for you, man. I'm glad you know, made the effort to get out of California and enjoy that.
Made it happen, so it was good.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring our guest in, Jens. Like I said, we have Okey Dokey on the program today, and so we shouldn't waste any more time. We're gonna had a great chat with them, and we're gonna get to it right now. Here it is.
Sounds good.
Hey, there we go.
Howdy. It's working. Oh, good. The shark is hard to both be in focus. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, you know, that works. That works. So
yeah. What background did you pick?
Oh, this is real. This is real. This is.
You're kidding.
On the vineyard. It's real. I don't need a background.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in Napa, California. You guys are out in Nashville, right?
Yes.
Yes. And how are things?
Is it true that there's no recreational dispensaries in Napa?
It is true that there are none in Napa, yes.
We drove there once, and we were all
That's
so
true.
excited. And then we got there, and they're like, "We don't do that here." And we were like, "What's happening?"
We
I
just
know.
didn't know that there were voids in California of no, you know. But it's
Yeah,
cool there was one.
I mean, you know, I was expecting everything to just pop up when it became legalized, right? Like it's just like
Right.
overnight. You'd think that it would boom, but you know, some areas are cool with it, others are not apparently, and so you have to drive a little bit, but it's not too far. You can get 30 minutes, 45, but you know you can do ease, right, and have some stuff delivered. You just don't get.
That's true.
We've also been to places though where they have legal weed, but then it's actually more expensive than the illegal weed, and that feels strange.
Yeah.
Weird. Howdy.
Hey, how do you exit this place? Because I'm trying to drop some packages off, but I can't find a way
I think at the front, if you want to just drop them at the front on their sides, somebody will scoop them up, and it's totally cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking for 202.
202. Is that you guys?
No, I'll come help you real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well,
Cody, give them to us. He's delivering Amazon packages to Cody.
very nice. And you're Johnny, right?
Yeah, I'm Johnny.
Okay, making sure. I'm Steve Jones. Obviously, it kind of says Steve Jones. But,
Yeah, we should have name cards on.
it's okay.
How do you like living there, man? Like, is it just super peaceful and quiet and awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I've lived in this house. I'm renting. I don't own the vineyard.
Sure.
But
Okay.
yeah, but I've lived here for like 6 years, and
Great.
I have 2 kids and a big husky shepherd, and so there's room for all of them to run around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I want to at some point own, but you know, especially now during the pandemic, you know, there's no safer place right now than with, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
What kind of so it's an actual like vineyard like of grapes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, you know, again, not my vineyard, so I don't get to, you know, reap the rewards from it. But
Gotcha.
other than
Are you friends with the people that own it, or have you talked to them?
yeah, we've become friendly. I
Okay,
mean, I didn't say friends or anything. No. The owner's an old guy, and he
Sure.
has. There's a couple other houses on the property as well, and so his daughter lives in one. One of his daughters lives in the house next door, and we have nothing in common at all. So
Classic.
but
That's sweet.
it's space. So welcome back, Aaron.
Hey.
Hey,
He did it.
I just moved into a new apartment building, and everyone's like super helpful, and it's just so great. But this Amazon guy was like very confused. I just had to help him out. He was great.
How was moving in during the pandemic? Like, what was that process like for
I've actually done it. My partner and I, Julia, have done it 6 times since the tornado hit Nashville, which was about a week and a half before Corona brought us home. So, yeah, it's been pretty chill, you know, but after the 3rd time, it was like, we're just good at this, and it's what we do now. But we just signed a lease finally like 4 or 5 days ago, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be stuck in a place for a year. So
I'm so much growing up, and it's just, I mean, until, I've never lived in one place for 2 years until here, and I was telling Johnny, I've lived here for 6 years. So, in this spot. So it's just like, especially when you got kids and everything, it's tough, I'm done. I don't like moving. I'll do it one more time maybe but that'll be enough to last me a while, So I feel the pain of 6 times, I've never moved that many times in that short a window, but you get.
Part of moving is really great because you end up naturally like purging some stuff. So I will say that after 6 moves, the things that we own together are just pretty like refined at this point to only the necessities, and that feels pretty good. So
yeah.
It felt more like editing really at a certain point. It was just like, snipping things.
Yeah. And so, living life largely on the road, I mean, you realize there's probably not a lot that you need outside of that, right?
Oh yeah, the last move before the final one, we actually like she was gonna go stay in Kentucky with her parents, and I was gonna go stay with my bosses for a month. And she was like, sort of like, oh, this is gonna be stressful, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna pack my tour bag and I'll be fine. Like I know how to live in one bag, so I was like, I know exactly what to do. I've got these and these, and it ended up only being a week, but like the month would have been fine with that one bag. You know, it's like it's definitely one of the better lessons of tour. Also, packing, I can't tell you how quick it was just knowing how to stack things from loading a van every single day for 200 days a year, you know?
Yeah, you get to think small, right, and kind of confine things into small spaces.
It's more so like instead of looking at a floor plan, you look at a room plan and you play three-dimensional Tetris always. It's really fun.
Yeah, yeah. And so you were on tour when Corona hit. Your tour got cut short.
Yeah, and I think I think we were like hearing a little about it, but you know, as you can imagine, if you're just riding in a van and you go to sleep really late at night and you have to wake up early to drive like 8 hours to get someplace by a certain time to do it all over again, you're not watching the news and you're not like at all tied in really as hard as everyone else is. So I think we were a bit like, we didn't probably know how serious it was until they were like, all right, the tour's canceled. We were like, oh, okay. Like we would have probably finished it out had they been like, it's pretty scary, but you know, or do you want to do it? We'd probably be like, yeah, sure. Like, but it didn't happen that way. So
I was definitely like, I pay attention to politics pretty closely, so I was hearing like some things about it. And then we had friends on tour in Europe at that time who were kind of sending us back like things are getting pretty weird here. There was an air of like nothing like that ever happens here for a lot of the environments we were in, but I do like a couple days before it happened, I remember when California said like no shows bigger than 275 or something, and I was like, dude, this is going to get canceled. Our whole thing is, if California is making the move right now, I was like, honestly, I hope it happens now that we have to go home, because we were approaching Colorado at the time, and for us that's like a super familiar end of tours place. So I was just like, man, I honestly hope that it does happen like in the next couple days, so that we're not driving across the entire country with no shows and kind of this like shitty rain cloud over everything. I was like, we could definitely handle parking up in Colorado for a day or two and then just like making the trek back. I was like, that's easy. This is already gonna suck, you know? So there was definitely like a curious mood. I will say that I get shit on Facebook and stuff from a few people still who were at one of our last shows, because I was kind of like, hey, things are getting weird. Let's just hold hands. And like everyone held hands and we like danced together. And I was even like, you know, to some of the people, I was like, why won't you hold hands? What's your problem? And we'd kind of shame them, and then we'd all dance. And I was like, this is important, and I feel like it's about to end for a little while. So, but at the time, like, there weren't really any confirmed cases or anything yet. It was still really speculative. And
yeah,
you know,
I don't even know how it would spread. Like at the time, I wasn't like, we shouldn't be together. Like, had we known that, we would have all like dispersed.
Exactly.
We're all like holding people and like talking this close. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But now here we are, you know.
Yeah, so you mentioned Colorado. Like, why is Colorado kind of a typical ending point for you? I don't hear that too often, you know, as tours go.
It is because it's such a central location to so many cities. So like most touring parties, the bands aren't from the same cities. So a lot of the times the tours end in a sort of a Midwest or like a central US place, like whether it's Chicago or Denver or, you know, somewhere right smack dab, whether it's not West Coast, not East Coast, not whatever. So it's Denver tends to usually for us, that and Chicago tend to always be the beginning or the end of a tour. And also there's not a lot of places for us to play between here and Denver on a straight shot on a highway, other than like Dallas or Kansas City or Tulsa. That's about it. And you don't even really pass them directly. You have to go way out of the way and then get all the way to Denver. So it's like a lot of times we just ask to have the day off and just drive it. We'd rather just drive 16 hours straight in a day and then be there.
It's also kind of chill, which I think we've done like twice or maybe just once, but like driving all the way through like the southeast in Texas. Texas is just so big, and then you can just coast up to Denver or Colorado pretty quick. Like we love playing in like Amarillo, so it's kind of fun to zigzag down and then head back up to reset yourself or to go home or whatever.
Yeah, and so let's go back first. So you had a band before this band. You guys are in a band together, Soul Cat, right?
That was years before, and we were. I was more of a hired gun into that effort, just not even hired really, just hanging out, dude. And at the time, I definitely, I was still pursuing visual art as a focus of what I wanted to be, and so we were in a band. I will say I never felt too essential to it, but I believed in it, and I watched Johnny and Jeremy continue on for like almost 2 more years after that, and then there was about 1.5 years between the end of that and the beginning of Okey Dokey, and so it was more so that we became really good friends then and best friends later, and it just felt natural to reconvene with just what we knew about the 3 of us is working together. I'd say I don't feel tied to that band at all, but we were in it.
Yeah, I think it was more like that was like
the
for me it's
initiation
like a
of
Cub
us.
Scouts to then to be like, hey, I like Cub Scout things. I want to do Boy Scouts.
Totally.
Like, we all met at Cub Scouts, our college band that somehow got lucky enough to play some cool stuff.
Totally.
But we had no idea what we were doing. We weren't super great, but we did all meet each other,
Yeah, that was great.
and now we're best pals, and thanks to that bizarre band that we were
Exactly. So yeah, the credit is due to that band, but I'd say like the credit really belongs after that band and following the initial meeting.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it many times of just like, I think the people that succeed are the people that have failed a whole lot. And I think a lot of people say that about anything. And we've talked, in the past about like the 10,000 hour concept of like, you haven't ever really mastered anything until you've just spent an ungodly amount of time doing something. And I've never met someone that's from when they've started something on day 1 till when they've mastered something have never messed up. And if I have met that person, they deserve some beautiful award or like cash prize or like something, edible arrangement. But I know that we have constantly messed up, but it's also why I think now we're able to flow pretty quickly, because the second some horrible opportunity arises that in the past we would have been like, you want us to pay $500 to play your show so we can get in front of some big cool guy? That sounds great. But then I'm like, wait, that's a scam. I'm getting it now. Like, you're scamming me. So I just think sometimes it takes people a couple years of whatever. And I think it's sad in that sometimes people are really talented and they just get down on themselves because they failed a few times, and then they go on and do other stuff, or they just kind of give up altogether. And that's always a bummer to see. But I think the people that survive usually eventually succeed if they are willing to learn from their mistakes and their inabilities to maybe not fail, but also not reach where they were aiming towards,
Yeah. No.
Gaining like 100 new listeners, even though you were maybe wanting to gain 1 million, you're still moving up, man. You can't really complain.
Totally.
Yeah, and I found the same thing. So I think that's really well said, right? I mean, some of the things that seem like the worst thing at the time, like the big, the biggest failures or what have you, are part of what make you who you are, and make you stronger to kind of get to that next level, right? To push through and find that resiliency to push through those not living in those moments, right? Those kind of downfalls. And you guys, I mean, even as Okey Dokey, right? You guys, I mean, from what I can tell, I kind of learned from that first band that you had, and have kind of taken, okay, these are the ingredients, and obviously correct me, but these are the ingredients that we need to be able to kind of to make this work, right? We need to live on the road. Your first year, you played like 200 shows, right? And you need to get out to people.
It was lovely.
It was great, but my back hurt.
I'm still feeling that for sure.
But yeah, I think you're right. And I think more so than like we know what the recipe to success is, like I was saying, is you more so know what not to do. So there's a million variables and options you can do and try, but we just knew what not to do. Like, do not try to let all 6 people, roll in with, 6 different ideas of what they want the band to be. So we kept it smaller, and that evaded where we had failed in the past. And actually get out on the road and play shows instead of just wondering when you're going to get famous. Well, you have to work, and not even fame, but just you have to work at whatever you do. If you're selling dog biscuits, you're never going to have a successful dog biscuit company if you just sit around your house letting your dog eat them. It's like, well, your dog loves them, but that doesn't mean you have a great company. It's like you have a cool dog treat. So I don't know. I think that it's just us learning, through just constant weird trials and tribulations, and now we're getting to do different steps, so it's a whole new lesson of like, maybe that wasn't the best way we could have said this, or maybe we could talk to each other a little bit more like this, or it's like we're learning also now more so like personal level stuff, because it is after so many years. It's like you're a married couple to where like you hope to not be the couple that annoys one another to a point where you no longer want to spend time with them. Maybe your music could kick ass, but I see a lot of bands that are either they're like best friends, but everyone's afraid to tell them that they're not that great, or bands that hate each other, but they're like, people are like, come on, do a reunion show. Like, even look at Oasis, like, just hate each other. They're never gonna play a show, and they even like fuck with each other on Twitter just to be like, fuck you, man. And I hope to never be that, I guess.
One of my favorite rule probably when we started was just like, let's stay underwhelmed about just everything until we can't help it. And like, I think that's kept us away from being like super gloaty and stuff, because we always make jokes about like Jeremy will be like, man, if I can just get like $40,000, I can buy this console, man, and it'll just be crazy. And then I'm like, don't worry, Jer, we're gonna play that festival in a couple of years, and they're gonna pay us 40 grand, and we're just gonna give it to you that day. And then we all just crack up. We're like whatever. That's the skepticism has to be there so you can just do the right job. And back to what Johnny was saying, like I was thinking about it like an hour ago. I was like, I don't think about this band as a band. It's like, these are my 2 brothers, and that's like, siblings are always different, and because of the rules we set together, it's been great to work through things. And like in our sibling group, I always feel like it's like, you've got a deep realist, a joyful nihilist, and a total agnostic who are staying underwhelmed together to rationalize and do the right shit so that we can succeed. And I feel like it caters to a lot of like good decisions because we make them together. And that's just how I feel about it always. And that's why it's like, yeah, we met in another band, but like that band didn't give us what we know about each other, and we made that later, and that's where we are now, and it's awesome. So
yeah. And so when you went into making your first album as Okey Dokey, right? Love You Mean It was the first album. Like what was that like for you guys? How do you guys go into and approach that, knowing everything we knew from the past?
Like, how did we just start making music, you mean? Like, how did it just happen?
Yeah. Was it natural?
Well, we we spent more time chatting about it in the beginning than we did making it, because I think that was important to at least set expectations for how much time would go into it. Because again, at the time I was touring with other people as just a hired guy. So I didn't have a whole lot of free time. I was gone just as much as I always had been. So we just, I guess, went over to my basement. At the time I was living with the guys that I was playing with, and we went into the basement and just kind of demoed 2 songs, and then we covered a song, and then we just sort of went from there, mostly just making the album. And we'd go over to Jeremy's house when he was out of town, and his roommate would like hate us because it was the only recording equipment we had at the time. So like we knew where Jeremy hit his key, and we would like sneak into his house when they would be at work, and they'd come out home and catch us in their house, like without even asking. But we were just desperate to just finish an album, and it cost nothing, you know. Like our first album cost like $400 to make, and or maybe it cost $700. I think it cost $700, and we gave Jeremy like I don't even know if we paid for Jeremy, but like we didn't have any money, you know. But like we sent it off, and
I know that I rang up like $300 or $400 on their electric bill because I was like a total floater at the time, and I could stay wherever. And I stayed at Jer's, and he showed me Ableton, and I was like, I didn't understand the pace of writing music either. Johnny'd been in a hired situation. Jeremy has played for a bunch of people. I knew of them, but not really much. So I would just sit there until 5 a.m. with the entire rig running. Just like I had a mug of coffee that was like a liter or something, and I would fill it with cold brew and chug it. Like, I know that there was a time when they talked to me and they're like, hey, the music's great, but like our utilities. And I was like, oh shit, like I didn't even think about that. You know, it's like the console, the lights,
I guess if you add all that together, the album was close to $1,000.
Yeah.
Double the album right there, huh?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's how it sort of started, with just sort of makeshift, jumping around. And also, like, since when we realized we were sort of maybe pushing our luck with Jeremy and Warren, who Warren Gibbons is a great artist as well. Absolutely. But I think we gave him a good 6 months of him not wanting to talk to us for a while with just how annoying we were. But it's all behind us. We're great pals now. But I went and bought the same equipment, you know, to record so that we could alleviate Jer. And so I just started going around between Texas and here, and where else did I go? I went to Indiana and just got different people recording different stuff to finish the album, just because a lot of our more talented friends at the time that played weird instruments didn't live here, or at least we weren't friends with people that played like, you know, lap steel or cello, or, you know, had cool, you know, weird toys we didn't have. So I just sort of drove around recording people in their bedrooms and their houses. And then we got fancier on the second album, and I think we spent like $2,500 or $3,000 on the second album, and that was more like in studios mixed with our house at Jeremy's and stuff.
Mixed with paying to, you know, people who let us write at their houses for their time and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
We definitely got fancier, and as each album kind of goes up, except for the collaboration album we did, that was all just everyone kind of tossing in their bits, you know. It was like they would just send us whatever they could create and record, or we'd have to go there or have them over, back when that was cool.
Or it'd be like songs that people had written that they were like, I just hate this. And we'd be like, no, it's, you know, and then Johnny'd be like, hear me out. It's a song about a dog. And I was like, perfect. You know?
Right.
Yeah, that process was really fun.
Yeah.
And so with
but
that,
all of it just amounts to just trying new things every time, because I think people's attention spans are probably equal to mine, if not maybe I fixate on things longer than most people do. I'll listen to the same album pretty much only that album for like 6 months to a year, whereas other people probably have at least 2 favorite bands they like to listen to. And so I just always think that changing things up a little bit every time you put something out, or having a strange concept for it, makes for at least someone being interested to at least listen to it once, and to be like, oh, the guys really went for it there, or like, maybe not my favorite, or wow, they're really onto something. Like, whatever they want to feel, you're giving people multiple peeks into something, you know? It's like, it's not just, here we are again, showing you how great we are at music. It's like, that's not really our whole point in general. It's listen to us with people that we've either been lucky enough to collaborate with, or friends of ours, or family members, or whatever we can sample in there, of just like our cats or our dogs sampled in, you know. It's like, it's pretty much an easy peek into us goofing off all the time. It just sometimes comes out pretty cool.
And so with all the collaborations with the dog and cat and everything that's kind of mixed in there, how do you take it from what you record to, you know, to a live show? What does that look like? You know, process look like for you guys?
Well, Jeremy, that plays keys, is like hold on, it might be a little tough. There might be like a military helicopter over us. Inside of our shark mouth.
I know, right? Keep it out.
Trying to defund
A lot of
that guy right
yeah.
Get out of the sky.
Get out of here. I don't even remember the question. That dang old military copter threw me off. We scared him off, so hold on now. All right, he's gone. All right, what did you say again?
So it was okay with all of the components that go into your albums, right? And I mean, you record in different locations. You have a lot of guest, you know, musicians that come in. I mean, apparently your pets as well, right? Like, how do you take it from that to the live show?
Oh, right. Now I was talking about Jeremy having a million hands. So like he's like 3 or 4 band members in one. It's disgusting. And he plays bass with his left hand on an MS-10 sub bass, you know, synthesizer, and then plays Rhodes and Juno on his right hand, sings background vocals,
And his feet go like this.
yeah, and he has pedal boards under all of his boards to control his effects. And then he has like Arturia on his far right. He's in like a box, and that's where he does all of his leads. So like, honestly, there's been only a handful of times when he can't play shows with us.
We hate it.
And when that happens, it's pretty rough. But
Sorry, all you bass players
Yeah.
that have helped us. Sorry, Damien. Sorry,
Nick
Nick.
Bird.
Sorry, Gant. You guys just aren't Jer. I love you, but no. It's Jer we're talking about.
Yeah, but he fills the whole show. But I would say most people would argue that we sound a lot more intense live. We tend to play things a lot faster, a lot louder, and a lot more like, we're trying to make you have fun, you know? Like, so if we're up there not having fun, then you're not gonna have fun.
People
you know?
always talk about how pleasant the set was, and then how at the end they were like, that was like sneaky aggressive. And I'm like, yes, because that's like what we grew up loving, was just energy, you know? We live in the city of like, write your fucking song and then learn how to play it so I can love watching you play it. Or just like, don't do this shit to me and confuse me. I paid money for this, you know? Like, when you write a song, it's like, okay, how do we replicate this in a way that doesn't feel like just kind of cheating with using pre-recorded junk? How do we perform this? And like, Jeremy is a ridiculous octopus of sounds, and Johnny has an arsenal of harmony now and things, and a lot of
Got
it
them all installed.
well, yeah, and a lot of it comes from like the tightness of the support we have with, you know, we bring in Axel Coe, Jordan Rushford, Tom Myers, Chancey, our buddy Chancey. I don't even know Chancey's full name anymore.
I think it's Matthews' full name, and Chancey
yeah.
is.
Anyway, we have all these players, and because of the 3 of us kind of understanding that enough, and really just understanding that the performance has to be there, it allows me a lot of times to not have to play guitar, you know, where I just straight up engage with who's there more so. And like, but we also are able to do the other way. And to me, it's always different, but that's because an improvised production is what it should become. You know, you're feeling something along with people. And I just love that so much. We always kind of plan our sets and then they'll
All apart.
yeah, but
cool
we know it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like
Totally.
it's so fun to maintain that though. Like that's when I got really proud of us, is when we toured with Raylan Baxter and they did some shows with some other bigger names, and they were just like, man, you guys, whatever the fuck happens to you is just fun. Like it's different all the time, and that just felt good to me to get the nod of performance from some people we really respect, because that's totally what you hope, is just to hear that you're doing the full circle Ouroboros of song to stage in a good way, you know, so you can go home and write more and do more. It's really exciting.
Yeah. So let's talk about Once Upon a Time. I listened to the new album. I dig it. And tell me kind of your process with this new album kind of going into it. I mean, I know that Johnny was telling me, you know, about kind of the different stuff, you know, I mean, the freeness, right? Kind of the different approach, and obviously you, as you guys have been saying, bringing others in. I mean, on this album you have, you know, Carl Brummel, C. Taylor as well, right? So talk to me about the creation of this album.
I think it was better.
I will quickly give my take, and then Johnny, I think, explains the process better. But like, for me, it was, we had made a couple leaps forward with each record. You know, the first one was like lo-fi us. The second one was like, let's produce ourselves up a little bit. The collaborative thing was like, let's be producers and co-writers. And then this one was, let's look for producers and people who we think we can give this record to. At the time, I was going through a lot of life shift and change, and Johnny and Jeremy were just like, well, use that shit and write, you know, about what's happening. The first instance was Big City Magic. You know, there was this moment where Johnny was like, yeah, but what the fuck were you doing then? And then I was like, he painted pictures in his living room. And that's kind of what started, just like, be real on this one with lyric stuff. So I will say that the guys gave me an opportunity to be like super real about a bunch of stuff, which I really needed, because I kind of anticipated that we had done a good job and would find some footing and good hands for it. And it was an experience in kind of just like ego cleanse and just getting ready for being a better musician, to unload a lot of myself, which I totally I just needed at the time. And it was a great thing to happen, because then we gave the songs to producers, which as a band let us kind of unload ourselves together too. And now a label, which is more passing of control, which just feels like a good process, honestly. But that was my experience, was kind of trying to write a lot of synchronicity and truth into a record, and then observing it with the producers that came along afterwards. It was just life folding constantly.
Yeah.
Ditto. Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. Like, it goes back to the idea of just always doing something different. I just felt like we got to do something different, and you know, I was saying earlier, not in this, but I was talking to Aaron about just, you know, like some parts of the tour that we go on feel like they're meant for us, less and less for the fans, like in terms of like going to go play Meow Wolf, or going to drive the 1 or the 5 or whatever. It's like, that's our payoff for getting to tour. We're like, this is amazing. Like going to Arcata and walking around the park and playing some hippie music festival to like 60 people. It didn't really matter. We were just like, this
Beautiful.
is insane. Like, people do this all the time. And those are like the payoffs for us. And I think like for this album, you know, we got to work with artists that play in bands and that have created parts that define big sections of our lives, you know, like, especially I would say like junior high to high school for me when it comes to like mostly just like Yuki Matthews and the Shins. It's like I I was given that album in a Sadie Hawkins dance bucket, when I was like a sophomore in high school. It was like, wow, this is insane. And I don't even think I got any of the metaphors in the songs or the depth of what he was even talking about. But I knew I liked the music, and I knew that this was something cooler than most things and deeper. It's like when you watch an old movie, like a movie meant for adults when you're a kid with your parents and they're all laughing, but you're not. And you look around like, I should probably be laughing, but I have no idea what they're talking about. But I just would always listen to that album. And for us, like going back to the concept, is like that kind of feels like it's for us, it's like, yes, it's cool for a listener to get to hear us making a song with various members of other bands, but it's also really cool for us, because we get to get that finished product back without us really saying much about what we want. We're just like, here's the song, send it back whenever you've got what you want to do to it, and then here we go. And then you get it back and like they either play on it or they delete everything and it sounds like a totally different song, but it's awesome or whatever. And I think that for me, it's, much like the collab album, wanting to make stuff to play with other people so that when you listen back, you're like, oh, I can't believe we got to do that with this person. I'll never forget that. Whereas like now I can say that with a whole different series of people in a different way that I probably would never have thought about when I was like 13 years old. I would have never been like, I'll eventually write a song with one of these guys. No big deal.
Yeah,
so it's a cool thing.
That's definitely what keeps my mind constantly just like, dude, crazy. Like, just because what he's talking about is true. Like we toured with Blitzen Trapper like a year or two ago, and they were like, that was like one of those bands when I was like 15. I like found their music and I would show it to people and everyone's like, wow, what taste. And I was like, and then we're touring on like the 10-year anniversary of that record, and I was like, this is great. And then the producers on this particular album, it's like, like this band is when I first thought of myself as musician, me, and it really was Jeremy and Johnny like pushing me into that. And then another friend of mine, Trent Houghton, I showed him the first like 3 or 4 songs, and I was still working really heavily in visual art at the time, and he was just like, dude, focus on this, please. And he was like, just for once, listen and just focus on this. And I was like, all right, and so it really comes down to friends, but now all of the people we've worked with, for me, align with like really my history in Nashville in such a weird way. Like, I met so many of my friends at Bonnaroo one year
Teddy
watching
Martin,
Carl
and
Blomel
released via
at
the
Sunset
Kaido
play
co-founded
in front of
Palm
like
Tree Records.
100,000 people, and
Yeah,
I was like,
I smoked weed with my
shit.
dad for this. I don't know. He'll never hear this.
So
He vaped
yeah,
weed with
check
McLovin next to me
out.
while watching this band.
Check it out. So
That was when
Vin Diesel says, for so long
Jim
I've
James
been
was wearing that
promising to release
thing
music,
around his neck, and he was like
encouraged
playing
by
this like
you.
chest.
People have
That
been
was
on the
so
edge of their
fucking cool,
seats, by
but
the way.
the
Comfort
dude that
zone.
Chris Mintz-Platz,
yeah.
Teddy
like, was
Martin,
like, do you want to hit this?
released
And my
via
dad was like,
the Kaido
yeah, I guess so.
co-founded
I mean, I don't think he
Palm
can
Tree
get fired from
Records.
his job for me saying this, but he like, I'm just
Um,
standing around just like, yeah, McLovin, vaping
So
with my dad.
yeah,
We're
check
jamming out.
it
They're freaking the
out.
coolest band ever.
Check it out.
And then,
So,
yeah, fast
Vin
forward
Diesel
years
says,
later, and you're
for
like,
so
no
long I've
way!
been
My
promising to
dad
release
vaped to your
music,
songs.
encouraged
Yeah.
by you.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
like,
People have been
step
on the
out
edge of their
so
seats.
We had
when
his band
comfort
Carl was
zone.
crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and then Chris Taylor, like, I met him years ago before. By Grizzly Bear, and he like explained the process with me. And I get to talk to him recently about that. And I was like, yeah, I remember this. And I was like, yeah, like it was years ago. Now we're doing this. And that to me was insane because I wasn't thinking about music. And then one of the later additions two of the later additions to this was Dave Harrington from Dark Side, which I love that project and always have, and I've just been like, I want more of them, and they've never made another record. So I was sitting in a coffee shop like, I'm gonna materialize some shit right now, talking to a friend. I was like, Dave Harrington, here he is. And I was like, hey, I've got this thing. It's weird, it's kind of hard to explain because we wrote all these songs, but we want you to, you know, da-da-da-da. And like 2 or 3 hours later, he got back to me and I was like, it's happening. And then Chris Taylor, because we needed to finish some things, he suggested Philip Nikolic, who's in Poolside. And that to me was another hilarious just overlap, because when I moved to Nashville, not being a musician, but throwing lots of events and doing art for them, found myself in a like, hey, put on some music position all the time. And I just always put on Next to You by Poolside as like, everyone likes this song. Bloop. So it was so great to have like an old school, for me, kind of staple in my relationship with Nashville show up again as this helpful hand, this note of, you guys made a good song, you know. So it was like taking like our favorite, some of the most monumental feelings we've received from musicians and some of the coolest like tastemakers in our opinion, and having it just naturally fall in line where they were excited to help and engage was just a crazy, really kind of just epically humbling experience. Because like I love Carl Brommel now, you know. I went and saw him at the Ryman recently when he was playing with Ray LaMontagne, and it was cool to like introduce my partner to him and be like, this is the dude I'm always like, it was so cool about, you know. And just, he's just such a nice person. And then talking to Chris later and Yuki, it's also really epic for us to now have these friendships and people that we have kind of just been astonished by for so long, to kind of just hammer more into the fact that like people are people are people are people. And like, if your thought is like, I want to be a musician, and you practice on it every day, you're building this experience of like, well, here you are now engaging with exactly what you need, you know, in that moment to grow. So epic experience. I'm excited to see what the future endeavors become. We definitely have a list, you know, of people we want to work with, and see what that does to us and how it grows our group. And the whole point is that we don't see ourselves as like indie band or whatever the fuck. It's like, we have always worked with Americana artists, R&B, whatever the fuck, like pop bands, sleepy dreamwave stuff, crazy electro energy dude, like all kinds of people. We have just never really wanted to be a kind of band. Like the idea of a bunch of dudes standing together all the time just annoys me so much. And love what we get to do as far as a collaborative spirit together. You know, that's just the best thing ever. I see
That's
Okey
really
Dokey, big jellyfish, you know? And the jellyfish has like not so much a visible brain, but it has visible eyeballs, you know? So like, if you can see a direction, you can take a bunch of people with you, and it never has to feel weird, or there's no like hierarchy to that, which is awesome. So
you keep it fluid.
absolutely.
And so as we wind down, I want to know from you guys, what is, as you look back on, you know, tours that you've had, what is kind of your most fun? You guys talk about fun. What is the most fun tour moment that you guys have had?
I don't know. We've had fun on every one of our tours. Even on one of our tours that should have been miserable, we did the East Coast in December, and it was fucking awful. It was just like, and like, you know, I just remember we just were saying to ourselves like, clearly our agent hates us. Like, they sent us to the fucking most barbaric places in the, like, no school's happening. You're playing us in college towns in the dead of winter.
You don't want us to.
Yeah,
have
you
people
want us
there.
to fail. You clearly want us to fail. And I remember even then we had a hoot. Like, we just fucked around the whole time, and we at least made the best out of it. And like,
Oh yeah.
I don't think, you know, we've ever had a bad time. I think my favorite tour where every moment was very exciting and where we left with like great friends were the last 2 tours we've done, just because they were so much longer than the others. Whereas when you only spend like 2.5 weeks, it's way different than 6.
Yeah.
So when we did a tour with No Vacation last June, that was 5 or 5.5 weeks. And we still, like, anytime we play anywhere that any of them live, they come out, we goof off. We made a song with them, which was the last song they've ever put out as a band, because they broke up like right after our tour with them. Not anything weird. They'll probably get back together and do something crazy. But they're just really cool people. And then we just went out with Breakup Shoes and Somersault, and we did a song with Breakup
That was so
Shoes
great.
in an apartment in like Montreal. It's like, it was just so dumb. And it was like a Chinese themed hotel.
I don't know.
It was like very like Chinatown, but nothing about the area made any sense to it. But it was the cheapest hotel we could find. But anyway, it was just fun and a lot of just dumb stuff, you know?
I had a really good time. Breakup Shoes are like the sweetest people ever. And for whatever reason, I could kind of tell that they hadn't toured a bunch. And it was their first tour, I think, to come to
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was their first tour. And I just was cracking up about it because I could tell that they were like getting used to this tempo and stuff. And they were all like, you know, everyone was doing their whole like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And it's like, when you're touring with 3 bands, there's a lot of names. And I just kept like, the Breakup Shoes guys would come up and be like, hey, and I'd be like, no, I can't handle this right now. And I would just walk away. And then every day I'd be like, hey, what's your name? And they'd be like, Nick. And I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm Aaron. So nice to meet you, but don't tell the other guys. I can't handle them right now. And it was just this weird thing where they were like, that guy's weird. He can only meet one person at a time. And it was just like my prank to them was just like, oh.
Well, I think we played with them at the on the previous tour. We played with them in Phoenix because that's where they're from.
That's true.
And so we played a one-off with them. But I mean, how are you
We
supposed to
couldn't
remember
remember
all their names or anything? But I do remember that we played with them, and I do remember meeting them and stuff. And they walked up to our drummer right when they arrived. And they went up, and Axel went up and was like, hey, I'm Axel. And they're like, yeah, we know. We met you a few months ago. And he's like, my bad, dude. I'm so sorry. But it went from completely disregarding them and remembering them to now I chat with them pretty regularly. They sent me their new album before it comes out. And I know that Jake moved to Juneau for a few months before they start touring again because he can live for free up in the wilderness.
Woo! Jake's
But,
the best.
Yeah, he's
Good
great.
guy.
But yeah, I like the relationships you get to build. I think those are the most fun parts because every night's the same in terms of there's a stage, there's a sound guy, there's a crowd, there's whatever. But the people you get to meet and that you get to keep in touch with, and even on this last tour, there's a girl that she's from Pittsburgh, but her boyfriend was living in Norfolk doing like Navy stuff, and it was like her 6th or 8th or something Okey Dokey show, and she used us like 4 years ago or 3 years ago in like her college or high school. It was like her high school theater department. She had to like make a short film, and we gave her permission to use it for free, of course. And it's just cool to get to see those people now for like 3 years straight and be like, hey, I know you, we're friends, we can go outside and talk for like 2 hours and just talk about whatever. And we would have never met had you not randomly decided to like our band or come to that show or whatever. And now, like, I don't know, it just feels like we're buds, and I can buy them shots and we can goof off, and, you know, I know their mom's name. I don't know. It's just fun.
It is crazy the number of like families and moms and dads and like uncles and whoever, and weed fairies and all kinds of towny people you get to know like everywhere. And to me, that's really awesome too, because it's like I have so much more an appreciation of people because of how I feel like the area they're from is such a stupid divider, really, because that's what everyone does. They're like, I'm the shit because I have mountains outside. And then the hill people are like, no, man, the hills are fucking great. But then you go to like Philadelphia and it's this way. Then you go to Pittsburgh and it's this way. And then you go literally across the country and you go to Seattle and then you go to Spokane. And it feels like the same exact like Philly to Pittsburgh motion and energy. And you're just like, man, the coasts are just like the same. We got the plains in the middle, but like I have talked to like it feels like every kind of person in every kind of city. And that's like the exciting thing about tours, kind of instead of like, you know, in the beginning, you feel like you're traveling away from home. You're like, I'm 3,000 miles away from home. But then at a certain point, you've done the zigzag so many times that you start to see like traveling as you're like this little blip on the top of a sphere and it just tilts under you. You know, you're like, oh, I'm over here now in Colorado, which is my home because it's where I'm at today. And, you know, it helps the distance and the separation thing go away, just being so familiar with places. Super cool. It's why I love like homeless people, because I talk to them and everywhere I go, it's like the loudest, most violent looking dude on the street. If you talk to him for 5 minutes and don't tell him how to live his life, you see a different person and they're just legit. Like people just want to talk and be heard, and that's kind of the sameness we get to see all the time. And we make relationships that way, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Even like, you'll know where this is. It's right next to you. But we had our car broken in San Francisco last summer, and we were panicked because we were supposed to have the day off in San Francisco, and like beautiful city, lots of fun stuff to be done. And because the window got broken, we didn't want to be anywhere in the city because everything could get stolen.
Yeah.
The only place they could replace our glass couldn't help us because our van was too big. And so they were like, the closest place is Fairfield, California. And we were like, fuck. So we drove to Fairfield, and the people at Safelite didn't charge us, completely fixed our window. I think we went to a Buffalo Wild Wings, and then like I like made friends with this bartender at this little divey place, laying on the ground playing with a dog, pretty drunk. And I was like, man, we went from getting like broken into and like sort of pseudo like threatened by somebody, but then within 24 hours we had like 4 or 5 people we don't even know do really nice things, all in a place where we don't even live, so they didn't have to do anything. But it's just nice that people very much so are, they're all good in the core of it all.
That was, I think, the same trip where like we did have to leave San Francisco, and then we were all like, where are the weed stores?
Oh,
and I was like so frustrated because we drove to Napa or whatever.
We had the tarp duct tape to the window, so you couldn't even hear each other think or talk in the van because the sound of the tarp was like and we were just like, fuck, where are the weed stores? There's nothing. Then we got to Fairfield and they were like, there's nothing here either.
Oh no, are you still there?
Oh,
we found
it. You're back.
No, but then I got on Google and I was like, dispensaries, Fairfield, and I was like looking, and then I found this one that was like New Age Weed Shop or something, and I was like, oh my God, there's one right here. And then we go to it, and it's the middle of this neighborhood.
It's just a suburbia.
It's just a house, and there's like a child's like 9th birthday stuff everywhere, and I'm just like, fuck it, I need weed, and it says it's a weed store. So I just walk up and I'm like, oh my God, am I about to invade a birthday party? And then I knock on the door and I hear like, oh, this dog. And then this guy walks up and he's just like, what's up? And I was like, hey, I'm sure this is really weird, but the internet told me that you sell weed. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. And he was like, wait, the internet told you that? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, damn, I got listed yesterday. I didn't know it was up there yet. And I was like, well, it is. And he was like, come on in. And like, he just like, he didn't have any of his stuff set up. He just like took out handfuls of weed and was like, here you go. You're my first customer. And I was like, I'm so glad there's not a kid's birthday party right now. But it was just like, everyone was so helpful that whole time.
Yeah.
So funny.
That was rough. Fairfield, California,
It
man.
was so good.
It's special. Yeah, my kid's mom lives there actually, and I've gotten multiple windshields replaced at that Safe Flight that you've
Yes.
probably one of which actually when a window got broken in San Francisco near the Fillmore, and so yes, I know exactly what
Roundabouts
you're.
that way. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure they're so used to it now that Safe Flight's like, let me guess.
I know, right? San Francisco. It's like the people that break in are in cahoots with the Safe Flight people. I'm sure, but-
At least
Yeah.
get the vinyl.
right.
Heard while you were there.
Say it again.
I was just saying they probably make jokes about like, well, did you get the vinyl though?
Oh yeah.
Did you go to a show in San Francisco again? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Aaron, Johnny, thank you guys for taking the time. Definitely appreciate it. And like I said, love the new album. I mean, it's a unique time to be releasing music because you're not out there touring behind it, but when you are able to get out there, come out here to the West Coast, you know where I am. So
Totally.
Well, we don't really see any other reality than like Corona's gonna be whatever it is, and as soon as it's not, we'll be there. So we just keep working on what we do because what else do you do? You know what I mean?
all you can do.
So yeah, thanks for having us for sure, and just know that the end is somewhere. We'll see you there.
It's there. It'll be there, and we'll jam and have a party and get out to concerts again and miss concerts. I'll tell you. So
I can't wait to see you. We do a lot of crowd interaction. I'm gonna kiss you. I think
I'm going to kiss you.
I'm gonna kiss you when I see you. Okay.
I promise, apparently. Okay.
Promise. I'm gonna kiss you.
Later, brother.
So, good one. Okay.
See you, buddy.
Bye. That was the interview with Okey Dokey here on Concert Pipeline. And Jens, that takes us, you, me, and Jaeger, to the final segment on the podcast. What is it?
It's time for music news.
That is right. All right. We each have a couple of stories to share about what's going on in the music world. So we will get to it. So my first story, Jens, is a sad one. It's a sad one.
No. All right. Tell me what's happening.
I'm starting out on a sad note. So the original Van Halen bassist, Mark Stone, has died.
No way.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Left and right.
Okay. I know. Tell me the details.
He had a battle with cancer.
Okay.
And his brother confirmed it on social media. He shared the sad news via Instagram, and he wrote, "My beloved brother Mark passed this morning." Kept it pretty short, and he had a couple of hashtags in there. But he said, in case you don't know Mark, he played bass with Eddie and Alex Van Halen in their early bands Genesis and Mammoth. Soon after, they recruited David Lee Roth, and Mammoth changed their name to Van Halen. So he would go on to play with Van Halen until mid-1974, when he was replaced in the band by Michael Anthony, because the band reportedly felt that Mark was focused on his education more than the band. Oh, no education allowed in rock and roll, Jens, okay?
I know. We don't need no education. I thought that was, well known.
Exactly. Alice Cooper, is at a vest, right? Wait, was that Alice Cooper or was that
Pink Floyd, man?
Pink Floyd. I know. I was like, no, that didn't work. I was thinking School's Out for Summer, and that didn't work.
We don't need no education.
Yes. And so yeah, that's the sad. Mark helped lay the foundation for the band that everyone loves, and condolences to his wife and all those who loved him as well. So.
All right, man, that sucks. Cancer is a bitch.
It takes
so many people, and it doesn't discriminate. It sucks. All right, I got a story for you.
Okay, what do you got?
All right, this is related to Coachella. Let's see. And it's also related to Fast and Furious and Vin Diesel. What the heck am I gonna be talking about here? Okay, so DJ Tom Toretto provides a tune for the celebrity Coachella crowd.
Okay.
All right, so what do we got here? So go ahead.
Vin Diesel has music, is what you're saying. Right
That's
now.
what I'm saying. Yep, that's what I'm saying. So with quarantine still in full swing, and Fast and Furious 9. Can you believe that there are 9 of these already?
I haven't seen 2 of them, so
I haven't seen any of them. Has been delayed until next year. What's Vin Diesel to do with his spare time? And I'm sure all of us are wondering, like, what is Vin Diesel doing, man? We all want to know what's going on with him. So apparently, get ready into EDM. So today, the 53-year-old actor has released his debut single, a clubby track titled Feel Like I Do. Though it may be amusing to think about Groot hitting the dance floor. Wait, did he do the voice for Groot?
Did he? I mean, I think he may have, actually. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never saw the, what's that movie with Groot in it? I never saw that.
You never saw it, okay.
I never saw
superhero movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel exactly one of those superhero movies. I feel like, okay, it was on my list of movies to watch, but for whatever reason, I just never got around to it. But like everybody knows the Groot tree guy.
Yeah.
So I'm just assuming, okay, Vin Diesel probably did the voice for that. So Diesel's new song is more in line with Kygo and Flume. Is that from the movie? I have no idea. I'm so ignorant here. It's Forever Summer tune for the celebrity Coachella crowd. And it makes perfect sense given the personnel working behind the scenes. Feel Like I Do was written by Kygo collaborator Petty Martin and released via the Kygo co-founded Palm Tree Records. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. So Vin Diesel says, for so long I've been promising to release music, encouraged by you.
People have been on the edge of their seats, by the way.
Comfort zone. Yep. Vin Diesel wrote on Instagram, "Thank you for believing in me, as always. I hope to make you proud." Proud might be a little ambitious.
It might be, right?
Right? But who are we to rain on anyone's parade? Actually, the better question is, who did EDM better? DJ Tom Toretto or DJ Elon Musk?
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe the jury's still out on that.
I don't know. Can we hear some of this? Let's see, because he debuted it on the Kelly Clarkson show or something.
Kelly Clarkson has a show?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I do. I know how I feel. I'm good. I'm good off of it.
You know how I feel? Yep. Yeah. I'm just gonna, take the fifth or whatever they say on that. But there are a lot of people in Hollywood that are doing the music thing, as well as the Hollywood thing. Yeah. But I've never in my entire life thought that Vin Diesel would.
No, he doesn't strike you as one of those ones that needs to dive into music at all, right?
Right. I mean, maybe he's going to be phenomenal. Maybe he is phenomenal. I have no idea. But, I think of him as the tough guy, who kicks ass, not the guy with like the incredible voice that you want to spend $500 on for a concert ticket.
Yeah. Nope. I don't think that many people will be paying for that.
Yeah.
But
You
I've
gotta
been
be a
proven wrong
serious
before.
Finn
So
fan.
yeah. Well, Jens, my next story is about an Osborne.
An Osborne. Oh, well, which one is that?
Oh, well, this is actually Ozzy's, one of Ozzy's, like his oldest daughter, like his daughter that nobody knows. Her name is Amy Osborne, and she's finalized the release date for her first album. And the album is called Vaker Adamare, and it'll emerge under this fall under Amy's musical moniker ARO via Make Records. And so there's a new ARO track called House of Lies. And so she's got some new music. She's the older sibling of Kelly and Jack that everybody knows from the Osborne show, the one who didn't appear on the show. And it's not exactly a solo project. It's a full-fledged band.
All right.
And it makes its live debut. Actually, they just made their live debut at the Los Angeles Hotel Cafe. The show was live streamed as well. And so that happened, and then they're gonna have some music coming out soon.
Interesting. That'll be good to hear.
Yes, and as a follow up to the kind of a tie-in to that story is, there's another Osborne, another member of Ozzy Osbourne's family has tested positive for COVID-19.
No way.
Yep. So this is days after it was revealed that one of his granddaughters had tested positive for COVID-19. The family shared that a second granddaughter has now tested positive. And of course, Sharon shared this information on her show, The Talk, right? That's where you go, to share personal information.
Right.
It's your television show like that, right? It's Jack's 3-year-old daughter, Minnie. But at the time, no one else in the family had it. That's when Sharon said that Jack's 5-year-old daughter, Andy Rose, also tested positive. She said, and I didn't want to say anything because it's not my story to tell. It's Jack's. So Jack did speak about it yesterday, and now there's 2 granddaughters out there that have it. So she's telling a story that's not hers to tell, apparently, right? So on national television. But,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I got a segue to that.
What do you got, Jens?
I got more Ozzy Osbourne news.
It's the Ozzy Hour. What do you got?
It is. Apparently, it is the Ozzy Hour. So Ozzy himself starts new work on a new album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's been talking about wanting to do this, so that's good.
He has. Yeah, he's been talking about wanting to do this for a while, I guess. Do you remember how long it's been?
That he's been talking about wanting to do this?
Yeah. I mean, I remember him talking about wanting to, continue on touring and the Forever Tour, which lasts forever. But now he's talking about new music.
Okay. Well, so what's he got? What's the story?
All right. So Ozzy revealed in a new interview that he has started working on his next studio album with producer Andrew Watt, who he worked with on his latest record called Ordinary Man. The Black Sabbath frontman spoke with radio.com for a lengthy interview, and during the chat shared the news on the new album. He said, "I'm doing another record right now. I just wanted to work with Andrew again." Ozzy said of Andrew, "It's a different process. It's the way he works. It's hearts in what I do." He said of music, "It's what gets me up in the morning, and it's what I'm here to do. It saved my life doing the last album. Quote, better than sitting on my ass all day waiting for the pandemic to be over." And then you go, "Oh yeah, I'm a rock and roller. I'd better do an album. You've got all the fucking time in the world to make the best album possible." So,
I love
Ozzy
your Ozzy
also
that's great.
spoke. Ozzy, oh my God, I'm sorry. I must have tapped on something, but all my shit just disappeared off my screen. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. What?
It's gone. But
It's
he's
gone.
working
Did
on a
I
new
just
album.
oh, okay, sorry. I fat fingered an ad. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry folks. I will continue now. Ozzy also spoke about the news of his granddaughter testing positive for COVID-19 and his wife and manager Sharon being in quarantine, which you had spoken about. And I'm sorry, Jaeger's awake now and apparently pissed on the floor and is now tapping on more ads. So I am going back. So blah 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 blah. More fucking this, more fucking that, and fucking awful, and Sharon's in quarantine, and fuck, and that's why I'm saying you've got to wear a mask. Just because you work with someone and you've worked with them yesterday, you don't know where they've been, and you don't know where you've been. For more, watch the interview.
There you go. Check it out.
But that's true. You know, there's so many people out there who are trusting the people that they know, right? They're trusting their friends, they're trusting their family. But when it all comes down to it, you don't know who has been exposed to whom, right?
You got to
can't
keep
trust
it
anyone.
tight. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And, yeah. Well, Jens, I have one more story, and I'll let you guess it who it's regarding.
Yeah, it's got to be Dave Grohl.
Oh, you got it. Okay, lucky this
Yeah,
time.
what's Dave up to, man?
So this is one we talked, I think, off mic last, before the last pod about this one. But this is he had he's kind of having a drum off with this. What is she? I think she's 9-year-old girl named Nandi Bushell from England, and she is a badass musician. She can drum like nobody's business. She can play the guitar. She's got an energy like no other, right? And so it came to his attention that she had covered Everlong, and so he saw the video, and then he challenged her to a competition where he played a song, an ancient song, that he hadn't played in forever, and then she learned it and played it. And then so now the newest part of the saga is that he made up a song for her and made this kick-ass video to go along with it. And so we'll play just a little clip of it, but he made a song actually with her name and everything. And of course she had a reaction video where her parents showed her the video he made for her, and she was just in awe, watching it. But I just a little clip here.
Drums.
Yeah. So obviously you want to check out the whole thing. You can hit up Foo Fighters Instagram or Nandi Bushell's for the reaction video. But I mean, this is why we do a Dave Grohl story every week we can, right? It's like, because he's such a badass. He does things right. He marches to the beat of his own drum. He's a great guy too. Yeah, he's just amazing.
Right.
So.
I mean, what a fun spirit. What a fun spirit. And that's why there's always some news, that we can that we can grab and discuss and update people about Dave, because his personality is out there, and like you said, what an awesome guy.
Absolutely. Well, Jens, that's our show for today. I mean, it was quite a surprise. I thought we were just going to talk about my trip and everything, but getting to see little Jaeger here was definitely a pleasant surprise. And congratulations on the new member of your family that's going to piss all over the floor, so you don't have to anymore.
I know. Well, I would say next time you come over and visit, I'm sure the whole, house is going to have a nice fragrance of Jaeger essential oil.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be very, very well oiled. So
yeah, it's gonna be one of those like spa treatment things. Like, oh, I love coming to your house. It just smells so good. I just feel like, I feel like there are dogs sitting on my face.
I can't stay away.
Yeah, exactly. Like, go over to Jens's house if you want to smell dog. Yeah, wet dog.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show. So next week on the podcast, we're gonna have an interview I'm really looking forward to. It's a guy named Sean Harris, and he was the lead singer of a band called The Matches from here in the Bay Area, and they were an incredible band. I really like them. I've seen them a number of times. I interviewed their drummer at Warped Tour years and years ago, and we're going to talk, I mean, there's a documentary that was just released as part of a film festival that I watched, and I was like, man, I need to talk to Sean. That would be really cool to talk to him. And so we're going to make it happen. And looking forward to that. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, that is Jaeger and Andy and Schipple.
And that is Steve and Jones.
We will catch you next time.